Yeah, you can find plenty of books here. This Bensar is good one. Then and also you can search with the name strength of materials also, because some topics it is from this from strength of materials actually. Uh,
So which book exactly, sir?
it is a, see, like every book has like is written in their own way, no, so I cannot set a, like you can okay if you want a particular name, okay one okay you can go with this Timoshenko and Gary. Just a second, I will take the name.
Sir, if you have any ebook, so you can share here only.
uh, you may be knowing a better way of downloading ebooks better than like better than me, right? Okay, one second, just system is very slow. Okay, this is the one actually I have shown in the first class. So in this, maybe we can go with Hibbler, Timoshenko and Gary, Timoshenko and Yang. You can follow. Instead of this Timoshenko and Gary, there is another book written by the same author, Gary, with and Bari, Gary and Bari, Mechanics of Materials. So these three books are actually very good. I haven't gone through this Ramavardhan till now. Might be good. I haven't checked that. So other three are good. So in the third one, instead of Timoshenko, already if you are buying Timoshenko and Yang, then the third one, instead of going for Timoshenko and Gary, you can go for Gary and Bari. Barry. Mechanics of Material. Some derivations I am taking from this Gary. Most of the derivations are like elementary level, so it might be available in all the books, or even if you directly search, you can get it like from net without any book. Like sometimes it might be Wiki or Wikipedia or Quora or somewhere, Stackflow. They might have written these derivations because these are all elementary derivations. Okay, I was trying for strength of materials here. Okay. This is that Gary and Timoshenko. Hibbler might be available in Amazon. No. Yeah, it's there. Mechanics of Material. Second one, Beer and Johnson. It's also a good book. This structural analysis by Hibbler, I think it might be required for your next semester. Or indeterminate structures. Okay, anyway. So idea is like you can, like, this is an elementary course, so you don't need to restrict to one book. You can go with any other books. But I find like Gary and Barry, somewhat the description is very good compared to many other books. Even Timoshenko and Yang is also good. And even Hibbler, you can find many problems, numerical examples. Okay, so let's start with today's discussion. We'll be dealing with principal stress and principal plane. But before going there, I want to say one thing. There was a mistake in yesterday's because some people have asked me like they are getting doubt in regarding the sign convention part. Now, first of all, in this sign convention. Okay, one second. Okay, in this sign convention, there is a wrong part. Initially, I had given us positive here, but it was actually, sorry, it was given as negative, but it was actually positive. Just give me a second, there's some issue here. Just give me a second. So the last class I have given us this quantity as this one as negative, but it's actually positive. But still, many people are having this doubt. So forget this sign convention. We will have a new sign convention. Not new sign convention. This sign convention is true, but I will give you another way. Suppose if we have a stress element, I define a shear stress like this. This screen now. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sorry for the delay. Actually, some issue with the PowerPoint. I couldn't save whatever things I am writing. So if I am writing these notes, and later it will become an issue. So. Yeah. So we have a stress element here, and we consider like a, for example, like a bar subjected to say axial load, and we are just considering a small element here, and that this element is given in the enlarged format here. So this is subjected to some stress. Sorry. There will be some shear. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the sign convention, what we have to do here is for the axial components that sigma x, we know that if it is tensile, it is a positive. So if it is tensile, it is a this one, and if it is in the compression, it is a negative quantity. This is a sign convention which we are giving for these axial forces, and we had the confusion with defining the sign convention for the shear force or the shear stress. So what we have to do here is, suppose okay, this is an arrow actually. There's a problem with my writing back, so that's creating the problem. So this is considered as positive in the sense like when you consider the center of this element, this type of a force, an upward vertical force, will create a anti-clockwise rotation. So we consider this as a positive, then we consider the shear force as positive. So similarly, this also will be positive, this also will be positive, this also will be positive. And opposite to that case, like if this rotation is causing a clockwise, sorry, this shear force is causing a clockwise rotation with respect to the center, then we call it as negative, like a sign convention will be negative. So instead it will be this one. Okay, just give me one more second. Okay. I'm not sure whether I can continue this class, but still we will finish this problem from the last class. Are you okay with that sign convention? Do you have okay? We will try to solve. We will try to fix that sign convention issue in this problem. A prismatic bar with a length of L 0.5 meter and a cross-sectional area 1200 millimeter square is compressed by an axial load P equal to 90 kilonewton. Determine the complete state of stress acting on an inclined section cut through the bar at an angle 25 degree. That's the first part. Can someone solve this problem? Okay, I will call a name. So this is from the last class. Ahmad Rashid Muhammadi. Not there. Then I should call Anirudh Kumar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So can you solve this problem? Just give me some basic equations, then we can start with that.
1 minute. Sir, can you please show questions?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Compressive force is acting on the inclined bar, sir.
Yeah. No. Okay. So actually, I think there is a confusion. I think if I feel like, see, this is like if we resolve by force into resultant force into two components.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Today I have the problem with the writing back. So just see that this is the middle line, the middle arrow. That is a total force. And if we resolve into, we can resolve into two x and axis and y axis. Like this. So here, if we change the coordinate system, we will get another. For example, if we just rotate or if we change to another, say, coordinate axis, which is say inclined by theta from the original one. This is x, y, and this is x1, y1. So in this, the new coordinate system, we will get the components with a different magnitude, but the resultant will be same. So similar idea we have to use here. Like what we are trying to do here is, there is a bar, it is subjected to some axial force. Earlier we were calculating with respect to a cross section which is perpendicular to the axial load, but now we are considering another inclined plane at an angle theta with respect to the longitudinal axis, and we are measuring what is the stresses that is perpendicular as well as along that plane with respect to this force. So when we take a stress element, when we take a small element like this, or when we take a small element inclined like this, the net stress will be the same here, both the cases, but along the plane which we are considering, that will be different. So is that fine? So here it is, you are asked to find a plane which is at an angle of 25 degree with respect to the normal, sorry, with respect to the longitudinal axis, and you need to find the stresses acting at that along that plane.
Yes, sir.
So in our earlier class, we have seen that if the, okay, I will take the next slide. Sigma theta is nothing but sigma x cos square theta. So how did we get that? So it was our original one was like sigma x. Now this is our x-axis, y-axis. Now we change to this position. This is our sigma theta now. This is our tau theta now. Okay, and we have this formula like tau theta is coming as sigma x by 2 sin 2 theta. Okay, forget about the sign convention. Earlier I have mentioned there is a minus sign. Just leave it. You don't need to worry. Like just keep it like this. Now in our case, here it is like we have a bar where it's a compressive load here. So what can you say for a plane inclined like this? What happens if we take a plane like this? When we apply a compressive load, oh sorry, we try to resolve in both x direction and y direction. So it will come as like this. So if it is an axial force, what will happen? Suppose instead of this, now the P is negative. Like we have defined that it is a compression. If it is an axial force, then in that case it will be defined like this one. Okay, so according to our sign convention, we have said like positive for anti-clockwise and negative for clockwise. So when you see here, okay, this is my first one, this is my second. When you see this figure, this one, where the mouse point is. So this one is causing a clockwise rotation. So we should consider this as a positive. And in this case, second one, it is it is a, sorry, this one is a clockwise. Oh, so the first one it is a anti-clockwise, it should be positive, and this one the shear stress, the whatever stress along the plane, that is causing a clockwise rotation, and hence it should be treated as negative. So we have defined, we have developed those equations, these two equations with respect to a tensile load. So that's why I said there is a minus sign here, because it is coming in the downward direction. But leave it. Okay, let it be like that. So in this case, you just tell me theta is 25 here. What will be what is the value for sigma x? Sigma x P by A, right? So oh, sorry, not a problem. So can you tell me what will be the value for sigma x here? Who was the person last time I called? Amit.
Yes, sir. Anirudh, sir.
Anirudh, yeah. So what will be the value for sigma x here?
Compressive load by area, sir.
Yeah. So what is the value? How much you are getting? Sigma x by A. Sorry, P by A.
75 megapascals.
Sigma x is given as 75 megapascal, and we know that it is a compressive load, so we just need to put minus sign. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm just removing this minus sign from this tau theta expression. So I'm making other let this expression let the expression be like this, sigma theta and tau theta. We are not putting sign right now. We are just putting the if you put the sign from the starting step onwards, automatically the sign will come in the end. So sigma x is p by a, so minus 75 MPa. And now what will be the value for tau theta here now? So it is sorry, sigma theta. Okay. What will be the value for tau theta?
Sigma theta will be sigma x into cos square theta, sir.
Oh, sorry. So you are calculating sigma. Okay, fine.
It will be 6.16, 61.6 megapascal, sir.
It is 61. So now I am putting the minus sign here. Minus 61.6 megapascal. Now what will be the value for tau theta? Tau theta is calculated like this: sigma x by 2 sin tau theta.
.9 megapascals.
No. It should you really divide by 2. There's a 2.
28.7 megapascal.
28.7, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now come to the figure. So if you are applying a okay. So here this tau theta will be positive because you are applying a compressive load and you are getting the shear stress is along this positive direction. And okay, then I can say that this is our original in this formula, because this formula is defined with respect to an axial case where this tau theta is coming as negative. So that's why we put, as I said, we put a negative here. Now if I'm giving this substituting this value for sigma theta here, and finally I'm getting a positive quantity 28.7 MPa, which has to be represented like this in a positive direction. Now if I draw the for the stress element, if I am drawing this figure, this is for the cross section with a perpendicular cross section. In this case, if I am drawing, it will be 61.6 megapascal. This will be
Sir, just a doubt. So sigma x is negative because the force is compressive in nature.
Compressive in nature, yes.
Okay, that's why we got sigma theta as negative. And when we put sigma x in the expression of tau theta, here we'll be putting it with negative sign, right?
Yes, we will be putting it with a negative sign.
Okay, when we will put minus 75 megapascal sin 2 theta means sin 50 is a positive number. We will be getting tau theta as a positive quantity. No, a negative quantity. Because sin 2 theta is a positive here.
Sin theta is positive only. So finally the tau theta is negative.
Yeah, so that's why we should get negative tau theta, na? Here you have written it plus 28.7 megapascal.
Yes, yes. So there the idea our original equations where this is derived with respect to an axial case where we are deliberately putting a minus sign here, this minus sign. Did you get it?
So every time we will have to put that negative sign there.
You have to put you have to follow either one of the convention, on either you put a minus sign here, then you try to do the I think earlier I told the opposite. So like you have to solve this problem either two way. You take this formula, you put the minus sign here, solve the problem according like that, or otherwise looking into the nature of the forces, you can directly say okay whether it will be positive or negative.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, I got
So
it.
if you put negative in this formula, then from next moment onwards, whatever things you are doing, it will come automatically.
Okay,
So this
but sir, in this problem, it is not getting right now because if we put negative sign there, will be. Okay, okay, okay. I got it. I got it.
no, you put negative here. Earlier I said like you don't need to put negative. No, no, I'm just changing. Just put negative in this formula.
Okay, okay. Now I will get positive. Okay, say.
Then this quantity will turn positive because these equations are defined with respect to a axial case.
Hmm.
But when you apply a negative force, automatically sigma x will become negative. Here also it will become negative, and negative of negative becomes a positive quantity,
Okay,
and
sir.
you will get a 28.7 MBA like that. And
Okay,
now,
sir. I got it.
okay,
Thanks a lot, sir.
I want you to find along this plane also. Suppose ABCD is my plane. So we have found across AB. AB is inclined at an angle of theta 25 degree. I want you to find across BC also and tell me the sign convention. What is the sigma theta and tau theta across BC along the plane BC?
Sir, where is BC?
This is BC. Got it right?
Yes, sir.
So BC here the theta you need to change by theta plus 90 degree. That's only change. Same formula only, just put instead of theta equal to 25, you put 25 plus 90 degree.
Sir, sigma theta equal to 13.39.
Sin, what will be the sign?
Sir, sign will be sign. Sir, compressive negative, I think.
Negative, okay. And what will be the value for tau theta? It's easy to solve, right? Just put this formula, tau theta minus sigma x by 2 sin 2 theta, where theta is 90 plus 4, 35, 25.
It's negative of 28.7 megapascal. Minus
It's
28.7 megapascal.
Okay. Are you using this minus sign here from the equation?
Yes, sir.
So minus of the sigma and sine, okay, minus 28.7. Yeah.
Sign will be negative.
Yeah, tau theta will be negative. Now we need to show this in the graph. So sigma theta I'm just plotting here. Will it be upward or downward? Should I draw it
Downward.
like this or like this?
Sir, downward.
Downward. Okay. Now, so this is my 13.9 MPa. And what about the tau theta? It should be to the right or left? I mean,
Sir, right.
what is the reason for that?
Clockwise rotation.
Clockwise rotation is causing a negative. This one, yeah. So, and similarly, if you calculate for CD, this and AD, we can get it like this will be 28.7 MBA. Then it will be again 28.7, and there will be a compressive force in this direction that is nothing but 13.9 MPa. Here also there will be a compressive force. It is nothing but 61.6. Okay. So stick to this form. Okay, I suggest you stick to this formula and you get find the values, and finally, suppose if you are getting 2 theta, suppose this is assumption like positive quantity here, then you need to change the sign to the other side. To the instead of to this side, it will be to the left side. Okay. So and again, this sign convention we are only using for this one, axially loaded bar. Okay. For beams and all, or for torsions, the sign convention will be different. But sign convention is final result will be same. Like when you, for example, like instead of saying the point like just like giving a verbal description, the load is tensile, or suppose the load is compressive, you need to put either a minus sign in your computation. Similarly, or even if it, okay, I am just making it wrong. No, leave that part. So the sign convention, the final result will be same in both the sign conventions. That's the point I want to convey. So the second part of the question, if the bar is now fixed between supports A and B and then subjected to a temperature increase of 33 degrees Celsius, the compressive stress on an inclined plane, that we don't know which inclined plane, it is known to be 65 MPa. So we need to find the shear stress as well as angle of inclination. We will start with this angle of inclination. I will call a name. So this has some idea from our second or third lecture. Haswant Patabi.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So can you tell me what will be the stress due to thermal stress?
Sir.
What is the expression for thermal stress?
Thermal stress. Pressure by area, sir.
Okay, that is a expression for the usual. See, we have said that if a body is subjected to like there are some equations which you need to by heart, but at the same time some equations you can derive. So in that class I have said like if a body is subjected to a temperature delta T, the elongation will be proportional to the change in length delta. The elongation is proportional to delta T temperature. That is a common knowledge. Like we know everyone. Like if you increase the temperature, the body will elongate, and we say that it is proportional. And equating it, we will get alpha delta T.
L alpha delta T.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what? No. I think this. Okay. Yeah. So finally, like, what will be the expression for sigma then here? In the previous class.
Alpha delta T. E alpha delta T, sir.
Okay. E alpha delta T. Okay, here you can put delta by L. Anyway, it is a constant quantity, so no problem. So what will be the okay? So now come back to the problem. So what can you say about this one? Here you are having a bar. This bar is subjected to some temperature change. So there will be an elongation. There will be an elongation here. And you are saying that compressive stress on an inclined plane is 65 MPa. So,
sir.
Okay, we are having a bar here. there is some plane which you don't know. We need to find it. What angle it is inclined.
Okay, sir.
And when you take that, plane, you see that there is a sigma theta and tau theta. The shear stress and normal stress is there. So since it is a compressive, can you tell whether it will be a compressive or a tensile?
Compressor, sir.
What's the reason for that compressive?
Because in the question it mentioned this compressive stress, no, sir.
That is the first part. We are going with the
Second part also it mentioned compressive stress, no, sir. The compressed stress on inclined plane is no.
Yeah, but basically the reason is like both the ends are restricted. So when we give a temperature here, what happens? Like at the supports it is not allowed to elongate. So the supports will give a compressive force here. So this is our
Hello.
Yes, sir. So this is our compressive stress developed here, and that compressive stress we can resolve into two parts. One is along the direction of the plane
and perpendicular to plane.
Right. And what is 65 MPa, 65 megapascal here?
Yes, sir. That's stress.
That is a stress. That is what? Along the plane or inclined to the plane? Perpendicular to the plane.
Perpendicular to the plane, sir.
Okay. So sigma theta is given as 65 MPa.
Yes, sir.
What is sigma x here?
E alpha delta t, sir.
Yes. Okay. Great. Sigma x is E alpha delta t, and you can you tell me the expression for not expression value for E alpha delta t?
E alpha delta t. Wait a minute. 72.6 megapascal, sir.
72.6. What will be the sign? Positive or negative? When you report this type of quantity, you should either say 72.6 megapascal with a minus sign, or you should say it is tensile or compressive.
Okay, sir.
So what will be the minus? What will be the sign?
Negative, sir.
Okay, so 72.6 MPa. Temperature is 33. So you should never say like minus 72.6 compressive. That is a wrong statement. This is a wrong statement. You should not say like that. Either you should say 72.6 MPa minus 72.6 MPa, or you should say 72.6 MPa compressive.
Okay, sir.
Now, what will be the relation between sigma theta and sigma x?
Sigma theta equals to sigma x into cos square theta, sir.
Sigma x into cos square theta. So from that you can find theta, right?
Yes, sir.
So what will be the value for theta?
What is it? Sir,
Yeah.
I did not have calculator for cos inverse, sir. Okay. I got cos square theta value, sir.
Okay, fine. So final value comes something like around 8.8 degree. You are expected, like everyone, you are supposed to have a scientific calculator.
Sir, it's in the hostel, sir.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay, fine. And I hope you will be knowing how to put a fraction and all in scientific calculator, storing the values. there are some variables. Even you can do a matrix inverse everything in scientific calculator. Some small dimension matrix like 2 by 2, 3 by 3, etc. Even you can solve the equation also using your scientific calculator, the Casio 1FX 900 from 900 series onwards and below also. But okay, then what will be the expression for the shear stress on this plane?
Shear stress.
Yeah.
Alpha delta t
max by 2 sine 2 theta.
Alpha delta t, sir.
No, shear stress is not alpha delta t. How it is alpha delta t? Yeah, tell me.
Here stress is equals to E alpha delta t, no, sir. E is the Young's modulus, alpha delta t is the strain. Okay, shear stress. Sorry, sir. I am saying the expression. Shear stress is equals to sigma x by 2 into sine 2 theta, sir.
Sine 2 theta. Okay. And you know this theta, you need to substitute this 18.8 sigma x. You have this value from E alpha delta t, and then you can get the final value as something like around 22.2 MPa.
Okay, sir.
So now I just want to know, like, anyone has any doubt with the sign conversion for the axial? Do I need to explain it again? Some reply I need.
No, sir.
Okay. So today actually I was planning to talk about principal stress and principal strain, but some issues happened with my digital writing, but as well as with the PPT also. So okay, I'll just give a brief idea about. I'll just give a glimpse into what is principal stress and principal strain. So till now we have studied about a bar with we are provided with a bar, and that bar is subjected to an axial stress. So we are having some sigma x and sigma y. So I think one student in the class asked me, what about the stress in the other dimension? Like, we consider only this axis, this one. So what about this one? So at that time I said, like, okay, we will be studying these things in detail when we deal with the torsion, or when we deal with the torsion in shafts, or when we are studying about beams and all. So if you take a 3-dimensional structure, I'm just taking a small element here. This is a cuboid I'm taking. In that case, till now we considered this side only, A, B, C, D. But at the same time, if you consider a 3-dimensional stress element, we need to consider the stresses acting on all the faces. So there will be 9 faces, and then we need to consider the stresses. So this stress element represents the state of stress at a point in a body. So what can we say about the stresses? So we can define, like here there will be a normal stress going from the outward of the plane ABCD. There will be shear stress along this direction. There will be one more shear stress along. So I have a x, y, z direction. This thing I will explain in next class also, but just want to bring the idea. That's why. And I have problem with this writing part. So wherever I am touching, it is not coming to the exact point. So there will be sigma x, there will be tau xy, there will be tau xz. Similarly, we can define another 3 more stresses in this plane, and and correspondingly, finally, in all the planes we can define. But at the same time, when we consider only the xy dimension, suppose if we are considering only xy and we are not considering a stress in the z direction, we can restrict to only these values, sigma x, sigma y, tau xy. So this is called plane stress. Like when the material is in xy plane and the material is said to be in plane stress. So in that case, we will have, there will be sigma x, there will be, this one you have already done because when you studied this axial part, there will be tau xy. Now these are the new things coming. Okay, actually this will be tau yx. Okay, I will talk in detail about in the next class. And here now we have to do is similar to what we have done in the previous class. Like we need to, this is with respect to a plane, and we need to incline this stress element by say for example like a theta degree, and we need to find, suppose this is our x dash y dash plane, and you need to find what will be the stress in this direction, like the inclined plane. So that we are going to study in the next class. So what will be the use of studying these ideas? Basically, we can try to figure out like how the okay, you can see that in some angle it will be maximum. Okay, that I will explain in the next class. I'm not making it difficult. Yeah, that's all for today. I just need to take the attendance. Sorry for the interruption. There are some technical issues I faced today, so that's why I couldn't start it on time.